I'll start in just a second. All right. Hi there, and welcome to Real Talk with Angry Soccer Mom. As always, this week's discussion topics are anything you feel is newsworthy about racism, bigotry, and inequality in America. And unfortunately, that's pretty much everything. The show's meant to be an opportunity for folks to speak their mind, but also to serve as an educational tool for white people to learn the truth about systemic racism. I'm extremely excited to introduce my friend. This is Don Crumlin, and he is amazing. He works as a professional health and wellness consultant, and he is a dad and a martial artist and a blogger. And Don has extensive life experience, and he brings a wealth of information as well as a very unique perspective to educating people about systemic racism. Don is a retired Air Force colonel and commander. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
And that's huge. So we have, not to call you a resource, we have an amazing resource right here. And so I would love anybody watching to ask away. We're going to try to really stick to the topic. Don serves as he served as a wellness coordinator he's kind of had these cool positions for the Department of Health Services in California. And he was also a wellness coordinator for the Department of Defense. And all of Don's information is going to be underneath the video. And I will have him tell a little bit more maybe about your website and how people can get a hold of you, because they're going to want to go to your site. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Kim. Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity to share on this format. My website is all about health and wellness. I care about people. I care about their health. I happen to have had some experiences with both relatives as well as the folks that were under my command that had a lot of different health issues. And so this became a passionate thing for me. I saw that my relatives that weren't really taking good care of themselves and really didn't know the basics of good health, good exercise, good nutrition, all of these different things. And a lot of that came from me having a very close relationship with my mother, who was a doctor of education, and she also had a doctorate in nutrition. She was the Harvard University chief nutritionist for several years before she went on to be the dean of continuing education at University of Massachusetts in Boston, Massachusetts. So.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. So you had kind of a famous mom.
That was part of what set the foundation. And then I got involved in martial arts in college because I saw that Eastern culture had a much better approach to long-term health and wellness, it seemed, than the Western world kind of accepts that as you get more chronologically challenged, you just have to accept all of these breakdowns that go on in your body. And Eastern culture, they're dedicated to continuing to stay active, to be healthy, to eat well, to work on what I call the three pillars, the three-legged stool of the farmer milk and the cow, if you will: flexibility, strength, and endurance.
Cool.
Flexibility, strength, and endurance. If you're going to really be fit, you have to work all three, not just one. Some people just like to run, which is great. Have lots of endurance. Some people like to just do yoga and they have great flexibility, maybe not a lot of endurance, maybe not a lot of strength, although if you're a serious yoga practitioner, you're very strong as well. And then there are the weightlifters. Lots of strength, very little flexibility, very little endurance. And fortunately for me, I fell into martial arts where you have to have all three in order to be a successful martial artist. So that's what got me to be in love with that particular discipline.
Oh, cool.
So I've been very blessed and very fortunate, and my goal is to share the knowledge and experiences that I've learned with the people that come to me with their issues, whether it's weight management, whether it's fitness, whether it's wellness, whether all these different things. And that's what the site is dedicated to. There's a link right at the very top in the homepage where you can go directly to where the all natural, all organic, gluten-free, vegan, and kosher products are. They're rated as a food, not a supplement, so there's no problem with age, pregnancy, or interaction with any medication. So it's extremely healthy stuff.
Cool.
Below that is another direct link to my blog. As you mentioned in your intro of me, that I'm a blogger as well. I blog on everything under the sun having to do with health and wellness and fitness, from fitness exercise to the healthiest cooking oils, to the 7 chakras of yoga, to what sort of activities you need to keep in your life in order to be energetic and healthy throughout your life. All of these different things I write blogs about. And you can access all of these things at my website, creativecrumlinassociates.com.
And we will have that in the description. I'll probably put it a few other places. Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
You know, Don is an expert, but I think what sells his stuff the best is that he's actually 90. And I mean, look at him. He uses his own product. I'm just saying. Just kidding. Sorry.
Not quite.
Just
89,
kidding.
maybe.
Just kidding. But yeah, he's so youthful. But anyway, I want to say hi to Lily. Thank you for being here. And anyone else, if you are watching, please jump in and say hello. We have an expert here, and I'm thrilled to have him. I have a couple quick, boring announcements, and then we'll get into content because we have a lot of stuff. A lot. My quick announcements. Today I am streaming both Facebook and YouTube together. And what that means is if you're on Facebook right now, get your bottom over here, because I will not be able to see any of your comments because I'm not worthy technologically speaking. So I would love you to come over to Angry Soccer Mom and jump on in and get involved. This is real talk, and we talk real. We don't, kind of, be all sweet and like, oh, we don't want to say it. No, we want to say that. All right. It's real talk in a very, very mixed setting, and that is how we like it. So unfortunately, I can't do both, so get over here. A quick note about disruptive commenters in our live show. Most people will be happy to know that I've created a very simple policy for our live show, finally. If you're here to educate others and to learn in a constructive way, you are welcome, but otherwise you're probably in the wrong place. So that's kind of, how's that for a very generic, benign policy? The next thing, I am hosting a chat party again on for the 4th Democratic debate for the candidates on Tuesday, October 15th. More news to follow. It is going to be on television. The CNN, it's going to be in a bunch of places actually. CNN, the New York Times will have it. It airs at 8 p.m. Eastern, and it'll also be streamed on, there's going to be a bunch of places. I'll list them all. If you cannot get on one of those, you are welcome to come on to here, and I will turn up my volume. And I won't be able to put a picture on, but you'll be able to hear it and comment in real time. And the point is to comment in real time. Lily, speaking of technology, is it normal to see both freeze frames the whole time? That's what I see right now. Okay, that's a great question, Lily. I am not sure, actually. I can call the engineer, back up the engineer. Give me 2 seconds and I will do that. Are we still, do I still have you, Don?
Yes, I'm
okay.
here.
Can you come up? I will call. And the very last thing is please so I'll check on that. And hi, Mr. FS Black. Any thread has its antagonist. Every thread has its antagonists. Thank you. Well, I'm learning, and I'm learning to handle them better, I think. And Don's giving me a couple good hints. So please feel free tonight to ask Don questions that you might have, since he is uniquely qualified with his background and experience. All right. So tonight's topics are that I've prepared. Of course, you can always bring up your own. Try to stuff them in there somewhere. What if Trump won't concede the 2020 election? What if he won't leave? We'll get more into that. Since Don's here, we want to talk a little bit about Trump's withdrawal from Syria. And the third thing is kind of interesting. The Supreme Court is going to be ruling on civil rights for LGBTQ folks that are in that community, and it's kind of interesting. And then the last thing is something that has enraged me, and Don, it has probably enraged him a lot too, I can tell, because he's the one who kind of introduced it to me, the Black Youth Leadership Group that Trump was visiting, and definitely will have some opinions on that. So while you're thinking of topics you want to talk about, I am going to start my crazy rant. And while you're listening, if you know anybody who feels like, who you feel like they might benefit from coming on here and having some real talk, please invite them. I'd appreciate it. The more the merrier. And I will say a quick hello to, Darren. Hello. Thank you for being here. And Kitty, yay. And I know who that is every time it gets you. Anton, yay. So thank you for being here, everybody. Jump in. My rant's pretty fast, and I mean it from the heart. So tonight's rant is going to be quick and simple and to the point. What the hell is wrong with the Republican Congress and the White House staff who don't have 1 ounce of courage or personal integrity? Okay, it's just been driving me crazy. How did do the right thing in this country become the exception? Is it me, or aren't we supposed to vote in the best, the smartest, the most honest, the people who mirror our own values? Aren't we supposed to have people who sort of have moral integrity? I'm not talking religion, just moral integrity. I've watched for 3 years as this man, you know who I'm talking about, and his followers, some call him president, have lied, twisted, and spun the truth to the American people. And some of them have really jumped right in on it and bought it. Thinking's hard and it hurts. I've watched he and his clan at this White House, and they've circumvented the law, the spirit of the law, in order to basically implement their own racist, bigoted, inhumane policies. I've watched him overturn laws that were painstakingly created and passed to make our country a better, more humane place. I've listened to his dog whistles, his code words, his suggestions that are really unbecoming of a president or anybody. He is inhumane. I've seen how he speaks of historically marginalized people, and it's disgusting. I've watched him project everything he is actually doing onto everybody else. I've seen him accuse genuinely honest, good people and try to destroy them, because that's what he does. And you'll notice right now there are very few people that surround him who will counter or oppose anything he says, because he gets revenge. A large number of his folks have resigned for various reasons, and the rest, Trump's either fired, forced out, or they're in prison. I just want to know what's going on here. How, as a people, and I'm not, I don't single out one person. This is a society. So if this doesn't apply to you, then you're innocent, and it doesn't apply to you. But if it does, maybe think of it. I mean, as a people, how have we allowed this corruption to remain in our federal government? I want to know where the other whistleblowers are. Aren't there supposed to be like 12 or something that were on the line with the Ukraine president when Trump was kind of blackmailing him and trying to collect dirt on Biden? Where are those other 12 people? Why aren't people coming forward and choosing our government and our nation and our Constitution first? Well, thank goodness. Tonight, I have answers to why we have such a corrupt, inhumane, money-hungry, all these money-hungry people running our nation. And I hate to say it, and I'm not talking to anyone here, of course, the answer is that we, the people, have allowed it. Collectively, we have allowed it. I'm sorry, I'm going to throw in a quick example. If Trump was murdering little babies in front of us, we wouldn't allow it. No one would allow that. So I'm sorry, we're allowing it. That's an extreme example, okay? If he was doing it right on TV and we saw him, we would be like, oh my goodness, this is terrible, But what he's doing just isn't quite terrible enough for us. And I'm just saying. My opinion, that's what their rants are. So I just not sure what to say, but I'm going to ask, I'll just do 1 second. So tonight, I feel like we might not love what he's doing, but based on the numbers of Trump supporters and the number of folks that are, I will say, in powerful positions in the sense of, just privileged, who are doing nothing, basically condoning what's happening, it's not bothering us that much. We're okay with corruption, lies, and a president who resembles a mob boss as long as it promises us the chance of a few extra bucks. We're okay with it. A little inhumanity. We have people running our nation who are corrupt and money hungry because they mirror us as a people. Not anyone individually, but they mirror us as a people. And this is exactly who we are, and it's all out in the open now. And I, for one, expect better. Rant over. So, I had a question for, who was that? Lily, did you ever get it? Oh, Dr. Cindy, welcome. Did you ever get your technical issue fixed? She had, the screens were frozen, just like mine are. Just wanted to ask. And are your screens frozen, Don?
No.
Nope.
All live, all good.
Okay. So.
Wait, they are sort of.
Sort of? All right.
Is it all right if I
Really?
follow
Oh, well,
up on
at least I
something?
can hear you. What's that?
Is it all right if I follow up on something that you said in your rant?
Well, I was going to just ask you if you wanted to add to that rant or add to anything. Oh, sorry, Lily.
Yes. Thank you very much. I would like to comment just a little bit.
Sure.
Part of what, and I hope I can make this as short as possible.
I didn't.
Part of what happened with the 2016 election, okay? The media got enamored with getting good ratings because of the wild and crazy things that Trump was saying. What they didn't realize, what they did not realize is that in the background, by focusing only on their greed to get good ratings, they gave Trump an incredible amount of free coverage. Now, the people that were only paying attention to the glitz and glamour and the fact that he is a former reality TV star were not able to separate Marshall McLuhan wrote a book called Understanding Media, and he defines several of the concepts of how media communication and manipulation goes along. And one of the things he talks about is glittering generality, is the technical term that he uses. Mm-hmm. It's when regular people want to have an association with star power, and because of that, they do anything they can to kind of get next to star power. That's why it's tough to see that people that sometimes get close to Trump in real life suddenly lose a lot of their anti-Trump spirit because they're star-dazzled with his presence and the fact that he is a big personality and fills the room.
He's extreme. He's dramatic. Absolutely.
Oh, and yes, he's dramatic. He's
exciting.
He's demonstrative. And so he's got an ego as big as all outdoors, so he doesn't mind stepping over people's personalities, and people mistake that for the shiny object. And as the old saying goes, all that glitters is not gold. Yeah. Well, this is where the lines got blurred by the networks focusing on the fact that he was generating headlines by all this crazy stuff that he was saying and doing. They overcovered him. And people that weren't paying attention to dig deeper to the depth and breadth of the actual issues misinterpreted that as a kind of endorsement. And a lot of his nonsense, we set the foundation for it being normalized.
Absolutely.
Which is where we come to now. When you said, welcome, I thought we were always only supposed to vote in the best and brightest. Well, he was the brightest luminary in terms of the one that had the biggest footprint in the media, and that got blurred into being not just the brightest, but maybe the best opportunity. And it all got convoluted because they were saying, well, he's supposedly a good businessman, so what we need is a new frame of reference, a new way of looking things, a new way of approaching things so that we can have a better, robust business, and that will drive the economy into the stratosphere, and everybody will do well. Well, the opposite has happened.
Well,
The complete opposite has happened.
there's a lot of
This is
compounding
this.
factors. I mean,
So many factors have come into that. A lot of it is bad decisions. He never took the job seriously in terms of learning how to do the job. It's kind of like asking your plumber to do brain surgery on you. You would never want to do that. No offense to plumbers, but they have a specific skill set, and it's defined to be in this lane. Trump has a certain specific skill set, and he should have stayed in his lane. How do you go bankrupt running 4 different casinos when the House always has the advantage? This should have been a neon sign, horns blasting at full blast warning sign. His failures in all of his business ventures, his getting bailed out by part of the problem we have with the Turkish situation that we'll get into a little bit later is the fact that he is obligated. He has zero leverage. In fact, it's the other way around. A lot of these oligarchs and authoritarian characters throughout the planet have leverage against him because of his greed to expand his world vision, his world view, his world footprint all over the place, and the fact that he refused to divest himself, as all other previous normal presidents have, from the financial ties to the things that are key to him personally, versus focusing on and concentrating on what are the things he needs to do in the role of and responsibility and oath of office and constitutional requirements to do what's best for the nation, the people, for the USA in general. All of these things come into play that he's supposed to be dedicating and selflessly dedicating himself to, and he has clearly done the polar opposite. And that, to me, is my little rant in addressing how did we get here from supposedly voting in the best and brightest. That's how we got to at least that part.
I definitely think that what you said is excellent, and a lot of that, absolutely. Unfortunately, I wish it were only that simple. I wish it were only that simple. I personally, if I had to give my personal opinion, I feel that Trump has a mental disorder, and part of personality disorders are this charm, and the way they can be charming. People who have this kind of thing can be charming. And I'm not obviously diagnosing him, but it's not really rocket science. And when you take a person who is overtly racist, raised with a Klan mentality, and very manipulative, and used to getting his privilege and getting his way and putting his money in, he gets his way with his money. And all that you said, it's a terrible combination. And then the media didn't help, and the media just added, to me, it's like this huge combination of horrific, our economy, because the rich are getting richer. People are desperate, and they sold their souls for the idea that they might get a couple bucks. And now look, boy, oh boy. This is just my take, kind of, Don. I absolutely love what you said, but part of the problem is people can be very simplistic in where they see things, and they don't want to think, and they don't want to do analysis, and they don't want to dig deep and find out what's really going on. They just want to hear information and take it at surface value is what I call it. And when they do that, let's just say details really do matter. Okay?
Yes, they do.
They really do.
That is an excellent point.
They really
and
matter.
People that don't dig deeper than the headlines, this is part of how we got into this mess. Mm-hmm. Exactly what you described.
Thanks.
People are challenged to use their brain to think, to actually think things through. And they like to see things in simplistic fashion. See spot run, see snake kill snake. If I can't define it in a catchy little 3 or 4 word phrase, right, I don't understand it, and therefore it's meaningless, and I must degrade it. And you see that Trump does this all the time. He sold away so much of our public lands. There's a reason for that. For those Trump supporters that don't understand the way that works, Go watch the movie with John Wayne, the Republican hero in the movies, called McClintock. There's a great scene in there where he, oh, excuse me. There's a great scene in there where he talks about what public lands are all about, what they're for, why it's important for them to be preserved, why it's important for them to be vast and large, why it's important to leave them alone the way that Mother Nature created them. All of these things, this administration has sold off to private investors more public land than any other administration ever, and it's ridiculous. A lot of it is in sensitive places like Native American sacred grounds and places like that should never ever be touched.
Yeah, well, if part of what his MO has been, obviously, is money over humans, greed over humans, and continuing to oppress and harm and abuse people in historically marginalized groups. He is the classic bully. He knows who to go for, and he knows what he can get away with. I could talk for hours about my little psychological, profiling, but he's an interesting guy, except for he's our president right now, so it's not funny. But
there's a business postulate that talks to exactly what you just said that kind of summarizes it. You lead people, you manage things. People are always more important than things. He does the polar opposite.
And unfortunately,
he manipulates people.
The American people have, I'm saying in general, not all of us, because I remember he didn't get the popular vote, but enough of us fell for it. So.
Unfortunately, that is absolutely correct.
And now enough of us are doing absolutely nothing to stop it. Because, we're busy and, we just don't have time, and, it'll work out because, you see, freedom's not free. And I think we forget that people who came before us fought for every single little pieces of, every single piece they got. And so anyway, I could go on and on.
He still has an 88% approval rate amongst Republicans.
It's terrifying.
And I read 3 articles today.
That's terrifying.
That talked about how the actual momentum of the country is in favor of the impeachment inquiry and actual impeachment and removal of this president, and that Republicans are not paying attention to the actual wave that is moving within the actual populace of the people, and that this is a tremendous miscalculation on their part that they're going to find out at the ballot box. It's not going to work out for them.
I can only hope and pray, because I honestly, and I don't know, I want to say hi to some people in a minute, but who are watching, I don't think this country can take another minute of him, let alone another 4 years. And honestly, Don, in my,
and we can't take the numbers for granted, because complacency is
how
got us at this point.
Yep. Oh, he's a joke. No one will, right. No one's going to vote for him. I remember watching the first thing, everyone was laughing, and I said, and I don't like to be right when it's bad. I said, everyone's scared of him. Nobody's stepping up to the plate and saying, I will not stand here and listen to you talk about my fellow humans like that. Not a single one. So anyway, let me quickly, great points. I want to say hi to so many people here. I want to say hi to Pat. I hope you're still there. And Darren and Dr. Cindy and Ronald. Thank you so much for being here. I know we have a lot to talk about tonight. I'm not sure what's going on with the feed, so keep me informed. Again, I'm streaming from Facebook and YouTube, and so what's going on is if you're on Facebook, get your butt over here, because I can't stream both the comments at once. So we're gonna start right out. And do you see any comments? And you can jump in for comments too. The first topic I wanted to throw out there was kind of a special thing for Don, because Don is Don, and he is here. And it's Trump not conceding. I have heard a lot of, Robert, hello. I've heard a lot of talk, months and months, and, of people on social media and the news about, I wanted to start by just asking a question. doing a quick intro, and then I'll throw it over to Don, the expert. I want to start by asking a question that I've been running into a lot. And what I'm thinking is, what is to stop Trump from basically not conceding? If and when, I hope to hell he doesn't win, but you never know. People are talking about, what about the army and the military, and what are they gonna, like, what if they follow him? And so I was hoping you could speak to that, like we talked about earlier.
One of the truly dastardly brilliant things that he has done is to constantly undermine the mainstream media. And the point of that is that his ardent followers think that he has more credibility than the mainstream media.
Well, that's a real tactic we all know about that.
This alternative facts fiasco that was created by him and amplified by Kellyanne Conway.
Well, borrowed from other regime type, but right.
Right, is the foundation of this hoax, a word that he likes to use, with regard to fooling the people into thinking that he is the ultimate resource, the ultimate authority on the actual information that needs to be followed, when the exact polar opposite is what is actually correct. The mainstream media is trying to do their job and present the facts in an intelligible way, so that you go in the intelligence continuum from data organized into information. The information is interpreted, becomes knowledge. The knowledge is further developed, analyzed, processed, and becomes wisdom. Now you're looking at the past, the present, and the near future, and you're bringing that all together. That's where very few people get past data to information to knowledge, and that's about as far as they get. And everybody that has an emotional spin gets lost when they try and go from data to even information, that very first step.
He knows how to play fear. He really does. He knows how to play to fear.
You play on the emotions. It's just like a professional salesperson, though. Facts tell, stories sell. They emphasize the story, they emphasize the emotional content, and that brings people in to then want to be interested in the product.
Like Anastasia is saying, I think this is what you're saying. Hello there, Anastasia. I think he creates a problem and then makes himself the savior. It's like, I mean, he's got some serious psychological things going on.
That's a very typical bait and switch for an advanced con person to create an artificial problem, take away the chaos that you interjected to create the problem, and then paint yourself as the savior of the problem.
Absolutely.
Because you saved them from the problem that you created in the first place that wasn't a problem until you created the problem. But now that you've taken it away, you can proclaim yourself as the savior of solving the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's so psychological. It's just like, it's crazy. Like Dr. Cindy, he uses the authoritarian playbook of absolute power, and it's been terrifying. It's been absolutely terrifying.
And especially in the hands of what we now know from the evidence to be a corrupt,
absolutely,
treasonous, racist, misogynist, xenophobic, insipid criminal.
And it's unfortunate that if people had, easy to look back, if people had just simply Googled him before the election, and read all the things, he has not changed. Oh, no, he has not changed. He has been able to, he's just gotten more power. So he's able to do things that are more public. But this is who he is.
Exactly. You are what you consistently do. He has consistently done this. From his grandfather's grifting to his father's setting the template for the way that they cheated people in real estate. At every turn, there was always a scam going on with regard to getting an advantage.
He's a con man.
And he's cheating people out of true value with regard to the real estate deals that they pulled. He further amplified that by increasing his power to the point where he could always use and abuse the subcontractors. He never, ever paid the subcontractors that designed, built, constructed the furniture, the custom furniture, and everything that held the casino slot machines and etc.
He's a user. He knows who to
And
use. He uses the little
yes,
guy or the marginalized group, or
he
absolutely.
never paid those people and dozens of other subcontractors that helped to embellish his casinos. He just always would use his might as the big fish in the pond with all the lawyers and all the power and all of the revenue and resources behind him in order to get out of measuring up to his responsibilities.
Absolutely. And part of his privilege
it's horrific.
You know,
we never knew that the presidency had this much power until we had an actual Al Capone clone criminal
He's sure
in the office abusing that power.
He's tested it and tried to circumvent the spirit of our Constitution at every turn.
He has even said that he can do anything he wants.
Absolutely.
He's foolish enough.
We have a mentally ill person in the White House. I'm
bad
going to say
behavior in public and in writing. He wrote a letter to Congress saying that he was going to ignore and not follow their impeachment inquiries and subpoenas.
I want to jump on something really fast. Anastasia is saying, honestly, I think he's been a useful idiot. And I can't speak for you, although I like to try. But you know what? I think he has brought in the cognitive dissonance level of this nation a little bit more together. Because you know what? This is who we are.
She's absolutely right. He's been the textbook example of the useful idiot in the Russian terms, and he clearly is doing it. It sounds like we're pivoting into the Syrian conflict at this snapshot in time, because that is textbook exactly what Putin wants him to do by abandoning the Kurds, the Syrian
for dead. Yeah.
Kurds.
I mean,
he has left them to be slaughtered by the Turkish forces that will move in, the military. They were embedded, the US forces were embedded with them in order to both have, in the military we talk about things, a concept called center of gravity. Center of gravity just means what's the most important piece of information, or it could be a location, it could be geography, it could be a factory, it could be whatever is important to that entity that we're going up against at the time. Well, at this point in time, the control of that border, the control of the cities and the populace in that region, as well as the control of the captured ISIS fighters that are in that region. Those are the things that represent the center of gravity. As long as the American troops were embedded with these Kurdish fighters, no one wanted to impose their will or make any kind of a bold military move, because they didn't want to incur the wrath of the full American military coming against them. As soon as he pulled them away, he basically pulled away their security blanket, their shields, their best chance for survival and existence. All of that got ripped away.
Absolutely.
In the blink of an eye. He didn't consult his own generals. He didn't consult his staff.
Right.
This all at an 11 p.m. phone call with the Turkish president, because he has leverage. What's that leverage? The leverage is that a good buddy of the Turkish president is a Turkish oligarch that controls the funding that fuels into the Trump Towers in Istanbul. Duh. Yeah. Look what we have here. We have a neon sign of corrupt mixture of personal versus nation interests at stake here. And we have the ultimate collusion and compromise based on dirty dealings behind the scene. He was supposed to put all of these things in a blind trust that his kids that he doesn't trust to be able to manage his money well enough were supposed to be doing, and he's miscombobulated everything along with it. What the heck is Rudy Giuliani doing in the middle of all of this?
And it's very
He's a private citizen and Trump's personal lawyer. And Attorney General Barr, who Trump also uses as his personal lawyer.
Well, if you'll notice, Don, everybody around him they fall off. He keeps himself safe, and everybody around him has this strange relationship. Now, I want to ask you a quick question before we go on with the stuff in Syria.
Yes.
I was hoping you would be able to speak to some of the things that we talked about earlier.
I'm sorry, we got off topic. You wanted to know about what happens if he refuses to abdicate.
And it's
if he refuses to abdicate the throne.
Well, yeah, because
to put it in his terms.
Yeah, if you look at the notes that I sent you, some of them,
yes,
some very important topics that you will be able to personally address, and
absolutely. Okay, let's go back and look at that a little bit. Thank you for reminding me and putting us back on focus.
Well, it's easy to skip over stuff because everything's very fluid. It's all happening right now. I'm sure something's happening right now that we're missing
and
because we're speaking.
And all the lines are crossing each other. That's correct. Also, so militarily speaking, a commander is not under obligation to obey an illegal or unlawful order. That's a foundational concept that goes across all military branches, all military levels. You are not obligated. It's just like in the Nuremberg trials when the Nazis claimed that they were just following orders from the Fuhrer. Well, that does not hold up as a defense when it's time to answer to the consequences inherent in the actions that you took under those circumstances. You cannot claim that as a valid defense. It doesn't wash. So what happens if I think I started down this road and we got distracted. I'm so sorry.
I blame you completely.
He has set the foundation to undermine the mainstream media so that
he has his own station.
His loyal, dedicated followers will believe him over the mainstream media that's only trying to do their job when it comes to a situation where he has said over and over again, it's a hoax, it's a witch hunt, it's fake news, it's this, everything is against him. I've been treated worse than any other president, on and on and on and on. It's gonna take heel marks in the carpet in order for him to get out of there. But here's the problem with that. His authority, the clock strikes midnight, he literally turns into a pumpkin as soon as the new president is sworn in and accepts the oath of office. Everything in an instant, everything changes and changes over. The military now, as it always should be, owes its allegiance to the people and the Constitution and the elected officials, which are now whoever those new people become. His popularity is so low. The 60%, we're pretty much hovering just under, almost at 60% of people wanting the impeachment inquiry to go forward and for him to actually be removed. There's no way he can win a popular election with numbers heading down that.
Yeah, I never say never, Don. I honestly never say never.
I agree.
I had a question for you.
We've seen the. Here's
go ahead and I'll ask it in a minute. Sure.
Here's another point that we need to take note of with regard to that. Jeff Sessions, Ivanka Trump, Mitch McConnell are heavily invested in the companies that manufacture voting machines. Why aren't we talking about that in big time
mainstream
media?
There's too much to talk about. It's just too much.
There's too much to talk about.
The prisons, they're also into the prisons.
What could possibly go well? Betsy DeVos is big time on that, and she now is finally going to get some comeuppance because she has been found guilty of breaking the law with regard to the student loan situation that she had in full command because she owns the companies that do the personal loans.
Don't even get me started on her with the
she got into about a 95% disapproval rate of the student loans. Basically, she only approves of people that don't need a loan because they have enough money anyway. And she is breaking over the code and cheating, and she's doing unconscionable, horrible things that are cheating poor people out of the opportunity to get a further education. Okay, back to Trump. And the U.S. Marshals would then come in once the authority turns over. He's no longer commander in chief. He becomes, at that instant, As soon as the oath of office is complete for the next person, at that instant, he becomes Joe, regular citizen, and is subject to all of the things. He's even said over and over again, I can't be impeached. I can't be prosecuted for any of these criminal activities as long as I'm president. Well, that's true. But the instant you're not president, hello, all of this will come down on you.
That's
all of
what
the
I have a
resistance
concern
he's
about.
had to revealing his taxes, his shady deals in real estate, his corruption and undermining so many different things, and so he has literally every single one of his cabinet appointments,
like Dr. Cindy just said,
destroyed.
They've been the opposite
instead of amplified.
Absolutely. They've been like, pick the worst person you could possibly get to head it, who's going to destroy it. And that's what he's done. Hey, Tim, yay. So, I mean, it's just, what I wanted you to discuss really fast, if you have a second, is you were telling me earlier about the oath, and that it's not to him personally.
Yes, the oath of
it's
office.
Kind of simplistic, but I mean,
I have literally administered as a former commander, I have administered the oath of office for reenlistment or enlistment of military troops, literally hundreds of times. In that line, there's a line in there as you're accepting the oath of office and you swear to uphold and obey the officers assigned over you against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's literally one of the lines that's in there. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. How brilliant were the founders and the forefathers to be able to see that once, under an incredible nightmare, hundreds of years in the future, there might be a corrupt, I don't want to say a bad word here. There might be a corrupt person that ends up in an extreme position of power, i.e. the presidency.
He does not have the people's
and has manipulated us to the point where, for the greater good of the nation, we have basically an enemy in the position of authority that he is in at this snapshot in time. And he has become an all enemies, foreign and domestic. He falls under that umbrella at that snapshot in time.
So our military is not going to go with him.
They're not going to blindly go with him, no. And the way that he has treated the generals, the way that he has treated the troops, he has taken away benefits from the troops. Look at his money grab in order to build his wall. He took away millions of dollars of funding for military children.
He's destroying our country.
Schools.
Like, he's not just destroying our democratic republic with the Constitution and all that. He's actually destroying humans here.
He is overly aggressively abusing the power of public domain in order to build his wall. They're bulldozing wildlife areas that are wildlife preserves, some of which are the home of delicate and rare species that we don't know if we'll ever get them back. He doesn't care. He has stolen money from these other government entities that it is illegal for him to do it. He took money away from the rebuild that was supposed to happen in Puerto Rico.
Oh God!
These are American citizens. That's an American territory.
These are crimes. These are crimes against humanity in my book. I mean, along what he did with Puerto Rico. My God, he waited and didn't send help. You know how many thousands of people probably died because of him?
Absolutely. And just as thousands of people are going to perish from his knee-jerk pulling out of the American troops in the Syrian region, so that the Turks they've already started bombing that area.
Yep.
They've already started bombing that area.
You know, it's interesting.
And so lives have already been lost by him having a knee-jerk reaction because of his hotels.
He is all about money. He's the most Machiavellian. Capitalist is everything. Humans are nothing. He shows it in everything he does. And if he doesn't, it just means you're not seeing it, because that's what he does. He's money crazed.
You're absolutely correct with that. You're absolutely 110% correct with that.
It's very scary.
The war games with South Korea, because he claimed they were costing too much. Well, here's what, from a military point of view, here's what happens. Those war games are extremely important. Not only are they a saber-rattling posturing point to keep North Korea in line, as well as a presence so that all of our allies in that region know that they're protected by that. But there are certain idiosyncrasies that happen. It's called the fog and friction of war. You can have the best plan, but until you get out there and actually take action and start going through the maneuvers and everything, you don't know what's going to work and what isn't, and what sort of things need to be fine-tuned so that you do have a smooth operation going forward. We lost over 100 souls in Desert Shield before the fighting started in Desert Storm. And Desert Storm was one of the most overwhelming, lopsided, incredible victories of a military fashion in the history of military conflict. But guess what? From running around in the desert practicing, we still lost 100 people. Not a single shot was fired. I mean, we were running over people with trucks. We were having people weren't ready to deal with the heat exhaustion that goes along with that region. There were so many things that we lost so many people. Like, it was a little over 100. I know I was one of my jobs at that time. I was a young captain. I was IMO officer, installation mobility officer at Travis Air Force Base in California, and we processed the remains. We had one of the hangars turned into a port mortuary where we processed the remains of the people that perished in just getting ready for the conflict.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is, for me at least, is he's absolutely incompetent to do any of the jobs that he has been voted into.
Everything he touches, same result.
He is absolutely incompetent, and beyond incompetent. I don't know maybe the right word to say.
Willful ignorance is what Malcolm Nance calls it.
Yeah. I mean, he's truly.
He doesn't care
he's
to
a
learn
disaster.
His job.
He doesn't care, and then, God, on so many levels, he is someone's PhD, walking, living PhD. They're going to get an A. What a project. Maybe a team of experts, maybe a team of Freudian disciples will take him. And I mean, he's a nightmare. He is an absolute nightmare. And part of it,
I can't see how his followers don't see it.
That's part of the problem. And I guess
we've just had some more closings. Another steel mill closed. General Motors is closing more plants. There are lots of businesses and industries going down. The coal miners, the retired ones especially, are dropping like flies. They don't have any kind of health plan. He couldn't care less. He got their vote and he's gone.
And he's lying and saying everything's great. And it's crazy.
He's saying the economy is great. For the second year in a row, we had to borrow $1 trillion. $1 trillion.
He's incompetent. Yeah. And you know, when I think of we don't want to go into this because we have a lot more to talk about. But when I think about Trump and his incompetence and what he does and why, I've written a ton about that, and it's very interesting. I think it's all very, very basic. It has to do with Dunning-Kruger. It has to do with, the back. Just all these psychological, very simple psychological evolutionary things. The human mind, he knows how to. People don't want to think. They just don't. And they want to be right. And they want to be right with the first thing they learned. And even when given additional information that proved them wrong, they will cling harder to their original thoughts. And that's basic psychological stuff. And he kind of gets that.
Yes, he has triggered their emotions, and he
knows how to manipulate. He's a con man.
He's an expert con man and manipulator, and stirs up people's emotions in a very bad way.
Absolutely. He is a destructive force in every way. I wanted to mention something. This was kind of interesting to me because my big question has always been, exactly what the hell does that man have to do to get people who are Republicans in Congress and have a little bit of power to say, oh my God, okay, this is it. This is where I stop. This is where I say, no, I'm done. What exactly? And I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and at some point, and I'm going to let you jump in because I can tell you want to say something.
Yes, sir.
Lindsey Graham and his and even
Mitch
his
McConnell.
Mitch McConnell, thank you, actually decided to get a life and just a tweet here or there or whatever, a comment, but is this
there are two things that are very glaring that should be obvious to
what's
even his
wrong with these
supporters.
people?
Everybody in his close orbit is going to jail or getting indicted, is in some kind of legal
You
trouble.
think they catch on, the ones that are still not?
Anytime the fire gets too close to Trump, he throws
Under the
anybody that's close by under the bus.
absolute. I almost drew a caricature of a bus and everyone going under. It just seems so obvious.
Look how quickly he pivoted and tossed Mike Pence into the mix with the Ukraine situation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then Rudy and Barr got mad because he got tossed into the mix and he was trying to stay way back in the background in the shadows, and he even got tossed into the mix. And he continually
watch the company you
interjects
keep.
Barr as if he is his Roy Cohn, his protector, and acting as if he's his personal attorney.
These people get some sort of allegiance to him, and I don't really get it. It's a sick kind of, it's very psychological. An allegiance to somebody who makes you blinded. You can't see.
Barr submitted that unsolicited 19-page document where he basically kowtowed and threw himself on the floor, kissing the Fuhrer's ring in order to get the job, basically saying that the president is invincible, is unimpeachable, he is beyond reproach with regard to being...
his Mueller summary, my God, that was just an outright lie. I mean, we got some issues, people.
That was an absolute neon sign. And look at the comparison. Benghazi, 950 days, 0 indictments, 0 charges. The Mueller investigation, 674 days, 37 indictments, 199 charges, and at least 7 prison terms.
Yeah.
And they're not done. Once Trump is unable to be the shield and the umbrella that protects the rest of
years,
a lot of them are going to fall.
Oh God, we are going to hear things. We are going to hear things literally for decades and decades. Things are going to be coming out because if this is the surface, what we're getting, just imagine. It's like the mom or dad who beats their kid in public. What the hell do you think they're doing to them in private? That's all I can say.
Well,
Sorry,
look at what he's doing with contempt of Congress alone is an impeachable offense.
Absolutely. And I mean...
And he's done that big time.
And then he doubles down and doubles down. It's honestly, I have to just tell you one thing, Don. A lot of times when I'm watching, I just start laughing when I'm listening to the news. I start laughing because it's so absurd. And I can't seem to normalize any of this. It's so absurd. I actually start laughing. Like, it's like a horror show. It's I don't know. I know a lot of people are feeling
it's worse than a horror show because it's real life.
It's real.
It's real. Real lives are lost. The farmers. The farm relief money is going to these 2 corrupt oligarchs from Brazil. What the heck is up with that?
Yeah.
It's supposed to save the family farms that have been in these families for generations.
If you follow the suicide rate of farmers,
the suicide rate is up.
Horrible.
Foreclosures are way through the roof.
Half the people in America who go under monetarily, all because of bills, medical bills.
And the so-called relief. All of this was caused by him with these stupid tariffs. Do you realize that there is not a single... China was extremely dependent on us for their agricultural products. You know where they're mostly getting them from now? Russia.
Well, you know what?
China has declared themselves to be the one superpower left that is saving and protecting the planet from the United States. Trump has put attenuations on solar energy and research and
You
science.
see, he's trying to
I
do
don't know what's wrong
California.
with people that are
Well, you're in
anti-science.
You know what he's trying to do? Force California to have to make their standards worse.
Yes, which is ridiculous in
it's
terms of competition on the world market.
insane. It's insanity. I don't know what else to call it. It's absolute insanity.
It's worse than insane. It's insanity along with stupidity, with stupid on steroids.
That's what I say. I say it's insanity on steroids, and yet my big thing, I keep coming back to this, and a lot of people are like, oh, you just hate this and I hate that. I don't hate anyone. I actually love everyone, and my problem is I have really high expectations, and I think that all of us in general, like, I believe in us. We can be better than what we're doing. And what I'm talking about is people in America who are, they hear this, they hear that, but it's not their problem. It's like, I feel like, the book Horton Hears a Who, like when the little, I don't know if you guys follow that, but when the little guy, the mayor of the little Whoville is saying, this is our darkest hour. It's time for all Whos who have blood that is red to stand up for your country and speak out. It's kind of sad that I know this one, but and people aren't speaking out. They're busy. They're working out. And I get it. People are struggling economically and have a life, but we're gonna have a regime. He's destroying our democratic republic. Now would be a really good time to start giving a shit. And that's, I know you don't swear, but I do. It's kind of the proud swear.
It's okay. You've got passion and you get the message.
I just don't get it. Why
that's
people don't understand. Doing nothing condones. There's no neutral. And people just don't get it. It's unbelievable.
Apathy and silence represents consent.
Yeah,
and you can trace that parallel back to what happened in Germany. And we're seeing Holocaust survivors that now live here are saying,
hello, right.
We've seen this movie before, folks. You need to wake up.
Yep,
Now's the time. You need to wake up and make changes.
I'm waiting for him to close the borders for our own safety. Just like I'm waiting for him to literally close our borders so that we can't get out.
Let me say this
like in Germany.
Simply as possible that he does not understand. Isolation is totally impossible, impractical, and non-functional in a global economy. He's trying to make us an isolationist. He's succeeding on that front as far as nobody trusts us anymore.
Oh God, no.
He's nuked our relationship with our allies. He's trying to go back in time. You mentioned it earlier. He's gone back at least 50 years in civil rights for women, minorities, marginalized people. I believe it's another topic that you have with how he is treating LGBTQ people, but it's horrific with regard to the absolute disregard for the humanity of anybody that isn't in his wheelhouse, and his wheelhouse is the 1%.
Yes, it's the white, wealthiest elite, and not all of them, but enough of them. And that's the whole scam.
You can say that better than me.
I know I can, and I love saying it. And I don't hate white people. I hate lies. I hate deception. Okay? Now, I'm constantly, this is like the new all of rage for people to tell me I hate white people. And that is a lovely way to completely not face the facts. This is our racial history. This is our economic history. These are not my opinions. And I could just go on and on. People want to,
and we're all intertwined. Whether people want to admit it or not, we're all
exactly. And part of my biggest thing, and Don, I don't know if I've ever really said this to you personally, because I know we've talked a lot. And part of it is that what people don't really get is that there is nothing good that will ever come from this nationalism. Nothing. every country wants to work with the people that they have proximity with, their own people. I'm not suggesting we all woohoo, but there's nothing good that will happen with racism, bigotry, my God, misogyny, all this pure hatred of large sectors of the population. It's the way we die. It's the way we die as a culture, as a society. And the only thing we have, and people just don't get it. It's almost like they see this false economy, is to be humane. The more human we are and the more human people are around us, our group's next. Do we not see that? We are all connected whether we want to or not. And we can pretend we're not, but that's going to be our demise.
Absolutely. To put it in the simplest terms, if there's hell below, we're all going to go.
Yeah, well, Martin Niemöller, he said it, this Protestant, this father, pastor, who spoke to after he was imprisoned by Hitler. He had terrible regret because he was an intellectual, and he said we sat and watched, and then he's the one who wrote first they came for the Unionists. Well, I wasn't a Unionist, so I didn't care. Next they came for this group. That is such a profound, amazing piece of writing, and I don't know if people just don't get it or don't know it or don't want to think, but your group's next. Hello? It's unbelievable. Us allowing other people to be harmed with their civil and human rights being taken away is harming us. It might as well be us.
Absolutely correct.
And I don't get it.
Correct.
I don't get it.
That is an outstanding point. You are absolutely correct.
Thank you. So, but you know what? Do you want to start? I know we have so much to talk about, and I'm so appreciative that people are here. Do you want to? Can I jump into the civil rights really quickly thing with the people in the LGBTQ community, and then or do you have some more stuff to talk about what's going on with Syria? And well, maybe I'll ask. Maybe quickly, I can ask you and ask people viewing. Do you guys have questions? I mean, I want to know: is he simply doing this with Syria just because he's completely oblivious, the worst commander in chief on the planet?
Yes.
And he is all about money, and it's all about capitalism and his money, and he doesn't give a shit about humanity. And is that what this is all about? And how does he get to do it? How does he get to do it? How does he get to be the unilateral Doesn't he have to take advice?
It's like one of the things I said earlier on in our broadcast this evening. No one knew that the presidency had this much power until we had a corrupt, criminal-minded president that is abusing that power to the nth degree, and no one is reeling him in.
He's testing everything.
You've talked about the Republican. Well, it's not the Republican Congress. The Republicans control the Senate right now. The Democrats control the Congress, which is one of the three equal branches.
Well, I call Congress the entire
judicial, legislative, and executive. Trump is just the executive branch. The Congress and the Senate is the legislative. The judicial is the Supreme Court, which he has also maneuvered and manipulated heavily.
Oh, absolutely.
They have appointed, at the lower court levels, they have appointed all of these conservative judges. They have appointed judges that the American Bar Association says are not qualified to be judges. They took away the hurdles that are qualifying for in order to be on the bench, to be an actual judge. The Republicans took all of those requirements away and just made it a simple, this is who we want, so we're voting them in, and there you go. You get a permanent appointment of someone that is totally unprepared, unqualified, but has an ideology that matches theirs.
They pick people that have allegiance to him, or that he has something over on them, and he knows they're going to. That's how I think he's going to get out of this.
It certainly seems that way.
He ties up the courts. He knows how to do that.
The appearance is that somehow there's been a super secret, sneaky way that he has put Russian money in the pockets of most of the Republicans, and that's why he seems to be bulletproof to any of them having any resistance. And some of them have been absolutely ridiculously falling on their sword,
I
uh,
am ashamed of their.
falling all over themselves to be able to kiss his ring. And I'm saying ring
He's got to have something over
euphemistically.
these people. He's got
I'm
to.
saying ring euphemistically to replace something else
Of
that might
course.
be a thought process.
I think we all got that,
But,
yeah. But
but they're basically
he's got.
kissing all of his nether regions in order to placate him, and it would appear that he must have something on
That's what
them.
I keep thinking. He's got to have. He, these people are prostituting themselves.
Yes, they are.
They've sold
Shamelessly.
their fellow human
Shamelessly.
souls. They have sold their fellow human souls for the chance at what, an extra buck maybe. I don't know, but
It's
they've
like what you said earlier. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
just
It's both power and money. And I don't know how they think they can continue to hold on to power when so many things are going wrong. $2 trillion in debt.
well, they do. Their people are
Loss,
just as blind as they are. That's the problem. They don't want the truth, and they're going to
loss
go
of so
down.
many. Look at the industries that are going down. Our manufacturing industry. We're becoming a service-oriented country with little manufacturing ability and control. All of these plants that are closing, the steel mills are closing. The farmers are starving. They're committing suicide. They're going out of business.
Yep,
They're
yep.
getting foreclosed on. They're getting their farms repossessed. Guess who's purchasing those farms? Foreign
Mm-hmm.
investors.
No, this is going to turn into a regime if something doesn't
Guess who's
change.
purchasing those sacred public
That's so upsetting. That
land?
is so upsetting to me. I cannot even
Foreign
begin.
investors.
Yep. Yeah. No,
This country has pooped all over Native Americans literally for centuries, and we're continuing to disrespect them. When they were protesting peacefully against the pipelines, they were water hosed.
after
They
all we've done to them,
they
after
after
all
all
we have
we've done
done
to
to
them,
them, it's like,
this is near and dear to my heart
can't even believe it.
because my paternal grandmother was Native American Cherokee.
Yeah, well, it's just,
I can't stand it. I
it's
can't
very
stand
near and
this.
dear to my heart since I actually read history. And we have done atrocities, crimes against humanity, and we're still doing them.
Yes.
Have we no shame? I'm going to say, yeah, we have no shame. Anastasia says it's all about white supremacy. And Anastasia, 100%. Everything seems to lead that way. Everything.
And we're not even talking about the poor immigrant children that are
Oh.
imprisoned in these concentration camps and are being treated inhumanely in
Mm-hmm.
horrific conditions.
And being raped in the stuff's not, I don't even want to go there. It's just so upsetting. We are allowing them, because of the supervision, lack of supervision, and I don't even want to go there. I did a whole thing on that. Oh my God. We are witnessing and many of us being completely
that is a huge blight
crimes
on
against
this
humanity.
society, and it's been forced into the background so far
Because there's so much.
Because there's so much, and every day we have a new nightmare, a new crisis.
I can't keep up. I know I can't.
A new catastrophe, a new embarrassment with regard to how
We treat
the
humans.
quote unquote leadership of this country is going under this misguided, incompetent individual. Inhumane,
My
racist
God.
person.
Inhumane. And you know what? Like I said earlier, this is America, and now it's come full circle. It really, really has. I hate to say it. It's come full circle. All the people can stop having their cognitive dissonance now because you know what? This is who we are, and he is a reflection of what we've allowed. And when I say we, I do not mean everybody, but as a nation.
We're talking about those that have enabled him.
Those that have enabled him and those who have sat and done nothing. And that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. A lot of people. That's all I can say. It's a lot of damn people. So
History will not look kindly on those who have been complacent.
No. And there's going to be
And there are a lot of them, yes.
Yeah. Let me jump into, you and I are good with like the ranting. But,
sorry.
No, it's true. Because I definitely want to get to
It needs to be said. It needs to be said.
Absolutely.
Sadly, it needs to be said.
Absolutely. And I'm not afraid to say it. I'm going to jump in really quickly with the LGBTQ stuff because it's important to know about. And things have just slid under the radar because there's so much going on. And that's part of it's kind of part of what he does purposefully, is he puts so much out there. But then I also want to get to the young black leadership in the White House, because that was, whew, I'm just going to be quiet.
Disgusting.
Yeah, let me just quickly go over some information you might want to know about. And
Please
this is kind of typical. Yesterday, the Supreme Court heard arguments as to whether federal civil rights protection should apply to people in the LGBTQ community. A number of states already have laws that would protect them, and which is awesome, but a number of states don't. And what it is protecting them against somebody saying, you're working for me, I found out you're gay, you're fired. There's some states, that's how it works. Somebody's living in a rented place, you're gay, you're out. There's nothing, they lose their insurance, they lose everything. One of a handful of cases that are right now in the Supreme Court, one of the guys he was fired from his job. He just had major cancer surgery. He was fired because he joined a gay softball team. Now, it's kind of interesting because people who are not gay can do that too. And I don't know where the line gets drawn, but this guy actually happens to be. And this particular man lost his health insurance, lost everything. He has no work. So what the plaintiffs want in this case is for the Supreme Court to rule that Title VII from the 1964 Federal Rights Act that prohibits discrimination based on individuals' race, color, religion, and sex and national origin will also protect employees and people based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. And the conservatives are saying, well, here's their argument.
They're saying, do as I say, not as I do.
Well, they're saying the concept of sexual discrimination on sex is different than sexual orientation. It's really not the same. And in 1964, there's no way they would know about that. Well, there's a good argument for that, which we won't get into. But Congress has repeatedly refused to change that law. And I guess, I don't know enough about politics to know this, but they can do it. And there's 22 states that have passed their own laws, but the liberals are saying, look, so the whole law in general was for civil rights, was aimed at combating discrimination.
It was to embrace everybody, including all of these marginalized groups.
And this is discrimination. And so
it is. To me, it's repugnant that the question even gets asked.
That we are thinking about this, right? And
that it's even a point of discussion.
Black transgender women are disproportionately impacted by denying them the ability to have a living wage, and
to the point of death.
And
many of them,
and a lot, they're murdered,
get killed, and their murders never get solved. Many of them disappear and are never seen or heard from ever again.
Mm-hmm. They are in a double marginalized. It's awful.
That is correct.
When I did my special on where are our girls and women of color, where are our black girls and women, I used research from the university, and it was freaking
they disappear and nobody seems to
care.
care.
Nobody gives a shit, and it's disgusting. And anyway, if you want to watch, it's
one
of my videos, and
that is absolutely correct.
Disgusting. That yet in Assages, I think there's been 28 murders so far. Very good. Yeah.
Once again, this is a point of emphasis with regard to people not doing their proper homework. If you do the depth and breadth of the scientific research, you realize that these things are innately hardwired into people, and they cannot. What's the term that those conservative use that they try and
choice?
Convert?
Are you talking about choice or?
Yes, choice. Well, it's a form of that, in that they're trying to cure them back into.
Oh goodness, conversion therapy. Yeah.
What's it called when they do that?
Conversion therapy or something like that, or.
Yeah. Revisionist therapy or something, whatever. That's stuff is a bunch of bunk.
It's mentally, it's
The science says that physiologically, these people are, regardless of their, okay, the difference between genotype and phenotype. Genotype is what your genetic mapping looks like. Phenotype is what you look like, your appearance, based on, regardless of your genotype. You could have a genotype that says, and this is an example of exactly what's going on. Your genotype could say, even though phenotypically my appearance says that I'm a male, all of my genes, in terms of the way that they are organized, constructed, aligned, say that I'm a female, and vice versa.
How dare people? How dare
and
people
are
say stuff
ignoring
like they know
the
best?
And to put it in simple terms for simple-minded people, you can't tell a book by its cover. Just because the cover says that I'm something, internally I could be something entirely different.
What kind of arrogance does it take to have just the gall to tell someone who's born into the LGBTQ community that they're making a choice? Who the hell would make a choice like that with people like this around?
I'm going to hit you with another fact that's going to throw some people for a loop.
Hit me or hit the people watching or listening?
The people watching. Genetically speaking, it is more significant in terms of physiological differences for people to have different eye color than different skin color. Yeah. How many racists know the eye color of all their friends and relatives? That is more of a genetic differentiation in terms of physiological and genotypical difference than skin color.
And can I throw a little sociology into it?
So if we, let me finish this point, please. So if we take that fact and that discussion over to genotype, phenotype, where I look female, but internally, if I do my genetic mapping, I'm really a male that's screaming to get out of this female case that I'm in, based on how my genes processed and expressed themselves. And the same thing works the other way. I may be genetically female on the inside, but externally I look male on the outside.
Absolutely.
Is what's going on with these people that find themselves in a transgender situation. And it seems like
people who are born transgender,
the most open-minded people have a hard time accepting that until they go through
transition, or what do you
reassignment surgery is the proper term.
Okay, well, but part of it is this, and this is my very strong opinion, that the people who don't think it's real don't know a single solitary person who they're close with that is transgender, born transgender, that is gay. You'll notice there's a huge pattern there. People who are racist as F-U-C-K, a lot of times they don't know a single solitary person who's not white, Christian, whatever like them. You'll find it's pure ignorance. What kind of person in this society would choose to have a suicide rate that is off the charts, to be bullied, tormented, discriminated against? I could go on and on. This hits in a very, very close to home place. I have some very close friends who are transgender and
as do I.
LGBTQ in that community, and the suicide rate alone. How dare we as a society? Don't get me started. I don't even hold back. You see my video on this, I'd like start screaming.
I had an issue like that amongst the many, many, many that I had. But at a senior level, I had
oh goodness,
one of the commanders, one of my fellow commanders in the unit that I was in. This was in the don't ask, don't tell era.
Ooh, that's right. You were in the don't ask, don't.
Yeah, she had to go away for a month or so to have a female procedure. That was how she described it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask and didn't get the details. I was honored that she felt comfortable enough to come to me
Yeah.
and say, I want you to be the interim commander. I know you have your own command responsibilities in your unit, but I want you to be the one that looks after my unit while I'm out.
Oh,
I
that's
thought
really
that was, I was very flattered and honored to have her assessment of me being that I was such a fair and honest and honorable person that she felt comfortable coming to me
Well, she knew
as the
then.
one that she wanted to take care of her command while she was out on medical leave. And so that to me tells you where I'm coming from with regard to this issue.
Yeah, definitely. And people have really come a long ways, but some folks, it's all fear. It's all fear. That's all it is. We're so segregated.
Fear and ignorance, unfortunately. It's both.
Yeah.
It's
Well, the
fear
fear,
and ignorance.
fear because they're afraid to, you know, like, no, it's not catchy. You'll be okay. Like,
They're afraid to take the time and
to see that they're
emotional
wrong.
commitment
It's a
to
combination,
understand
right.
it, to understand it fully, to understand fully all
Yeah.
the
And,
subtleties,
just
nuances,
because done,
and issues that are involved.
great point. I mean, just because you haven't personally experienced it, I'm sorry, doesn't mean it's not real.
Absolutely.
It's an
That's right.
arrogance that's just, ugh. Anyway, I wanted us to jump into, I love some of the comments. This is a tough, and I'm going to do a quick intro, and then I want Don to take it away, and definitely take comments and questions on this one. Young black leaders at the White House. I guess it's kind of like 5 days ago or so. Donald Trump delivered remarks at the Young Black Leadership Summit. And this is where nearly 300 African American students and young professionals came together to the White House to meet and hear him speak. And I won't commentate yet. President Trump celebrated the booming economy and how great he's doing and how black people love him. And the hit of the night was a young teen from Ethiopia who lives here and just thanked him and bowed down to him and decided to do a little prayer vigil right there and then. And I made the mistake of reading the comments section, and I pretty much went nuts. This meeting was what I think of as a group of, I don't even know if I should say this. It was one of the most self-loathing, pathetic, horrible things I've ever seen in my life, and that is out of my lane, and I shouldn't even go there. But I
No, you
couldn't.
nailed it. You
I
did a
couldn't
great
believe it.
job. You nailed it.
I
You
couldn't
absolutely
believe it.
nailed
These poor children are young people. Where are their parents? Where? Oh my God! Anyway. So yeah, I'd love you to elaborate on that because it was disgusting. Not the kids weren't disgusting, and the student, but just he was eating it up, and it was. They were bowing to him.
Okay. Thank you so much for that intro. Before
You're
I go
welcome.
into
I'll shut
my
up.
rant, let me start with the good news. The good news: in a recent AP and ORC poll, only 4% of Black people said they think Trump's actions have been good for African Americans. So,
Who are the four?
on the good news side, we have 96% of African Americans that have not lost their mind.
Thank you.
and fallen into kowtowing for Massa Trump, which is exactly what this ridiculous display and as you and I talked about earlier, the thing that really blew me away, we've both been educators, we've both been teachers, we've both been in the educational system, and there's a tremendous responsibility that comes with that calling. You are shaping the minds of the future. It is important for you to teach people how to think, not what to think. This was a brazen brainwashing, manipulating of these young, innocent minds that are still in their formative stages, and they're being shown the glitz and glitter and the dazzle and the power of a corrupt criminal president, and he is sugarcoating all of the gunk that he has and dragging these people into a false sense of security as if he actually assigns any value to them, when what he's really doing is treating them. If you look at the body language carefully, he treats them like pets. Pets is the way that I would, and that's the kindest way I can put it. He treats them like pets. The attendees of the summit said they believe Trump, despite the birther conspiracies, his both sides comments, and the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville is referring to parts of Africa as, I won't say the actual word, as
shithole countries. Sorry.
Poop hole countries.
Sorry, I swear he doesn't. We're a good team.
That has, and to think that they are repeating, parroting his flagrant line that he's done more for African Americans than anything. Oh, please.
Projection. It's the opposite.
It's gaslighting.
Liar.
To the zillionth power. And gaslighting, for those of you that aren't quite familiar with that term, it's basically psychological manipulation of another person's mind to make them think what you want them to think, regardless of what the reality says.
And then they think, "Gosh, am I crazy or am I what? Huh?"
It's you confuse them to the point where they're basically going by Braille, because the light or the dark has blinded them, and all they can hear is your voice telling them what you want them to hear, what you want them to think, how you want them to act. That's basically gaslighting 101. And a person that's been a con man all his life is an expert at gaslighting. Mm-hmm. And that's what this is. And it's horrific.
Good point.
Because these people will be indoctrinated, not educated, indoctrinated. If you ever studied anything by Dick Gregory, you listen to his speech about the difference between an education and an indoctrination. They're indoctrinated to think that it is okay for them to have this subconscious self-loathing.
It was like they were hypnotized.
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
Worship of what the white supremacist viewpoint tells them is so great and wonderful, and to degrade and diminish and despise themselves from the ground on up, and not have a positive self-worth, a positive image, a positive self-confidence about the things that they are, what they represent, what they bring to the table, their culture, their significance, their talent, their education, their knowledge base,
their beauty, their everything,
are suppressed and told that they are no good, and that you have to do the great white way in order to be relevant, and to be a contributing member of society, to fit in. Don't bring your culture into this mix. Fit in. Disguise yourself as best you can.
Just like with the religion way back the beginning of time, when they stripped people of their religion and beat the crap out of them and tortured them all week. And on
there'll be
Sunday,
more beatings until morale improves. Yes.
We pray together on Sunday. I mean, this is some sick shit we're talking about. You guys, the comments I saw were disgusting. Oh, this is so beautiful. You see, he's not racist. It's like, oh my gosh. But it was very upsetting. Don and I kind of were like, oh my God.
He is a master manipulator at sugarcoating all of this disgusting, horrific, putrid.
It's a photo op. It's a great photo op.
Things that he does with his insipid policies. For those of you that are struggling with that word, insipid is a very intellectual way of saying you stupid MF.
You know, I see Anastasia has something to say about this, and I don't know if you've been able to chat and look at the comments, but you want to take a look at
No,
some.
I'm relying on you for the comments.
Well, can you take a look at some of the comments for a moment? Because I think we have a very, very.
I don't even have that window pulled up.
Oh,
Sorry.
you don't? Oh,
No.
goodness. Okay. Let me just jump in there. Anastasia, I think it's a loss of power and status. Now we are hearing, and mostly importantly, seeing other people that are. Oh, okay. We're back into the. I backed up into the. Let me see. Straight white males. Let me get to one that's on topic now because I backed up. I'll say it. They are self-hating black people in this country, being white, and 21 is glorious. Yeah, I mean, it's a cult, she says. Appeasers feed the lions so they'll get eaten. I just want to read, because she really went to town writing, and I want to, acknowledge. They are grifters. Candace Owen says, appeasers feed the lions so they'll get eaten. I just want to read, because she really went to town writing. That's not good. Can you hear that? Hello.
Can I hear what?
Oh, okay, good. No one could hear nothing. I just want to make sure it wasn't. I got some a feedback loop going at me.
Yeah, that's because I went over and opened the window and.
If you do, it'll. Yeah, I forgot to tell you.
I had to turn off the volume.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. Sorry, I should have warned you. Anastasia said, "Oh my goodness, let me back it up."
Okay, so I saw that she said the gaslighting thing.
Yeah, gaslight for 100. Yeah, go ahead and jump in if you have the window up now.
That's correct. Yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah, do you want to? I'll just keep reading then. Yeah, Jane Elliott said the same thing.
I love Jane Elliott too, so thank you.
We're not educated. We're indoctrinated. Yep. Dr. Francis Kress, Welsing, and Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. said the same thing. But honestly, Christianity has assisted that as well. Absolutely. Anastasia, but this is why this is dangerous, because while black children are being policed in school and black men are killed in their homes, white people see this and think, well, we are in a post-racial era. That's called having a fantasy, and it is denial, and it's inhumane and unconscionable. And
I posted
great points.
A mini rant where I was trying to explain to a Trump supporter, and they just weren't getting it. That I said, well, what would you get it if unarmed young white men were being shot down like flies by minority policemen? If Asian and Hispanic and African American policemen were shooting down young unarmed white guys, the way that it's happening.
No de-escalation, no nothing. Yep.
Yeah, the way that it's happening against young African American males, would you finally understand that there's a problem? We need to do something about it. And they still didn't get it. So I just threw
my sweet friend, I don't speak for all whites, and I would never. And people like that, they don't want to get it. They don't want to. Their ego is too fragile, their white fragility, whatever. I worked with somebody today who was telling me that I'm not racist, but this just made me nuts. I'm not racist, but there's a war against white people, and they're really trying. I'm like, oh, for the love of, oh my God. And I lost my patience. I actually had to stop writing, and I kind of pride myself on being pretty patient, but it was a white woman who said, I'm not racist, but there's a war against us. And what was that kind of a meme type thing I saw once? It said, only in a society with white supremacy so severe, just wanting equity looks like oppression. And I'm not quoting it right, but just wanting equity, a chance, just a chance, not more, not real equality, like we're all equal, like, you get $10, I get 10. No, just some equity is so different because of the society we live in. It looks like oppression to the people in power. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Anastasia's made some good points. She's quoted Malcolm X, and she's talking.
Can you read a couple of them, or do you want me to?
Yes, you go ahead.
Okay, because I'm so happy Anastasia's here. Whoa. Okay, hang on a second. I am going. There we go. Oh my goodness. Let me just scroll back to the correct place. Anastasia, as Malcolm X said, if you stab me 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, is that really progress? No. Damn good point. Anastasia, well, it's because to white men, the police mean to protect and serve until the police are stopping them from doing what they want to do. Anastasia, equity is oppression. Thank you. I knew someone would come. Equity is oppression to the oppressor. That is exactly what I was trying to say. I'm never concise, but exactly. Nails and glitter. The recent case in Dallas is very telling about the status quo. Oh, don't get us started on that. I actually have a video.
It's so sad.
I have a video coming out probably tomorrow. Well, actually, coming in tomorrow. And this is not just to jump off the subject, and I'm taking, the whole thing is just, oh my gosh, it's just going on. And since a lot of people have been working on it for a year since the murder, I'm taking all the different facets and all the new things that have been going on and putting them all into one for anybody who's kind of going, what's going on exactly now? So I'm going to put out a video including everything. And I would love anybody who wants to go on video and tell their real opinion. Tomorrow I'll stick you right in there because I'm seeing opinions that make sense. And I just want to, pull us on onto something else. But I just want to say, I'll definitely be anyone who has an opinion about what's been going on and isn't afraid to say it or feels comfortable talking about it. I'd love to get real, authentic people's opinions because people are doing that. But did you want to say anything more about these kids? Or what Anastasia's saying, or Lily.
Anastasia made some great points. The thing about the kids, it's a really powerful corruption that he got so many of these young, impressionable, upcoming, indoctrinated, not educated. They have now switched from being educated to being indoctrinated because they're falling right in line, right in the trap of the professional con artist to sway them.
Yeah, he's
good.
They're
They're trying to say, how can we get the Black America to think differently ideologically?
Yeah. Well,
that was the whole point behind bringing them into the White House and exposing them to the power and the glitz and the glamour, and to get them to be, it's like the slow boiling lobster in the water, in the hot water. That you go from comfort to now you're in so much trouble you can't get out, but it's too late now because you didn't recognize the danger in time, and that's what has me absolutely infuriated with the manipulation that went on in that process to bring those young people into that environment and try and lie like a rug and express to them that you are their friend, you are their protector, you are the one, you are the ultimate one, that they need to be having their alliance and their commitment and their energy and their vote to, when he's absolutely lying through his teeth and totally manipulating the situation, doesn't give a rat's doodle about them other than for them to support him politically.
It's all about them getting the photo op.
So that he can move his agenda forward, and they won't realize that his agenda absolutely undercuts everything that is good for them and the agenda that they really need to be working
for. And humankind.
And they won't recognize it until it's too late.
Yep. No, he is.
And that is horrific. That is another horrific abuse of power, position, etc. It's absolutely horrific. That
I wouldn't let him get near my pet rock let alone my child.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, Anastasia says, have you either of you seen the movie Trick Baby? If not, please watch it, and it will explain Trump's bringing those kids to the White House. It was, I almost threw up watching it. It was so sad. And him, if you've ever seen all of his old interviews on all these different channels where he would talk, oh my God, he's pro-abortion, he's trying to talk his, all this bullshit. And now he's like, oh, he's religious now? Please. It is.
He doesn't know a thing about religion. Whenever you try and ask him to state one of his favorite Bible passages, he said that's personal and private because he doesn't know.
Personal and private because he has no clue. He is absolutely a con man. And he encompasses, in my mind, he encompasses everything that is very, very sad about the human psyche. I mean, I didn't, because he has power, he's able to show it. And I hate to always just come down on him because he's an easy target, but the people who are following him, they're going to be here. They're going to be here when he's long gone. We have to educate. We've got to educate people.
It was under-publicized, but extremely illustrative when he went to, I think it was in Idaho or Utah. It was one of those really deeply fundamentally religious places.
Oh, okay.
And he talked about Corinthians 2 or 2 Corinthians. It's something that no one who ever spends any time in church, in the Bible, in Sunday school, in Bible study would ever say it like that.
Well, because he's probably...
It was a huge... And here's my point. The young people recognized that, and some of them booed him or were just silent. It was only the older people that are so enamored with him because he's closer to their age group and the glitz and glamour and the power of the office and that were still singing his praises at that point. But the young people saw what a phony and a fraud he was when he came across with that, because immediately they knew he didn't know what the bleep he was talking about.
Right. No, it's great. He is so disingenuous and such a phony. Anastasia says, Trump is the mirror of the U.S. and we need to understand that. Until we are willing to be truthful, this will never change. 100% get it. It's admitting our real racial history. It's not our fault. It's not for guilt. It's because we can do better and we're not doing well. And I believe in us. Do you believe in us? I believe in us. This is not about hating white people. This is not about blaming white people. We were all born into this. No one here was personally enslaved. No one here was personally an enslaver. But as we know now, we've learned that horrific crimes against humanity do not just disappear. They are carried generation to generation with repercussions that are incredibly horrific. And a lot of people, the woman that I was working with today, and I ended up saying goodbye, said to me, and this is all she had to say, it's been 150 years. And I was like, I'm out.
Derek and Nails and Glitter, I see you, I hear you. Derek, right. He's both. He's not just the symptom. He's the symptom and the illness.
They've been waiting for him since the Civil War, a new leader.
Yeah, they really have. They really have. He is the embodiment. I mean, Jefferson Davis is having a party in whatever
his grave or wherever. Yeah. Yeah, well, absolutely. If you ever read the Cornerstone speech.
He is loving this to the nth degree. David Duke has said that Trump is absolutely hitting all of the points of their agenda.
Absolutely.
And they couldn't. Now, to me, the most ardent supporter of Trump, who claims that he has all of these virtuous qualities that he obviously does not have, how can you listen to David Duke proclaim that Trump is the embodiment of pushing forward all of the items on their agenda? and not recognize that he is basically the wolf in sheep's clothing because of the oath, not the oath, but the office that he held.
I have
He
no
doesn't pay
answers.
any attention
It's a great
to
question.
the integrity of the oath of the office or obeying the law in the Constitution. And that's why it's a mystery to me how what is
Signs
it?
are
The
everywhere.
policemen's
Signs are everywhere.
didn't the Policemen's League just endorse him for 2020?
I'm not sure. I know.
One of them,
It's
yes, one of the
we've
country's
really,
leading policemen's organizations just endorsed him for 2020, and I'm thinking, what the heck are you guys looking at?
I can't answer to anyone who is alive today and not living under a rock who could. I mean, we are in this wonderful, great time of communication technology. He is truly, truly a sick, sick man. And I'm sorry, I'll say it loud and clear. Anyone who supports him is sick as hell too. And I do not have, speaking the truth is I'm just being real.
I hear you on the picture of Dorian Gray reference.
Just the truth.
His ugly warts are under the surface for the people that support him and believe in him, but as soon as he loses the power of that office, those warts and all of that ugliness is going to show through. And I tell you what, these people that have been falling on their swords, falling all over the state, I even see now there are so many people on Facebook that are singing his praises as if he is a spiritual deity to them. And
That's terrifying.
It's appallingly disgusting to see that there are so many people that still support him through all of his horrific behaviors,
Do
decisions.
they not understand that their group's
everything.
next? Do they not understand
They
that
don't.
their group
They
is
don't.
next?
How can you not recognize that it's a bad thing to destroy the environment? How can you not recognize that it's a bad thing
To harm people.
take away protections of endangered species?
To take civil rights away
and-
from human
and
beings.
He took away protections against honeybees. There's nothing sacred. We're all literally going to die with polluted water and dead bees that can't pollinate the crops so that we
And
can
we
have
got no
food to eat.
food. Right. I don't get
How
it.
could anybody be so stupid as to not understand that?
God, I am so happy you said that. Because I just don't get it. He doesn't believe, don't even get me started. He doesn't believe
I want to get you started
in climate
because
change.
it needs to come out. Go ahead and go for it. Get started.
I'm going to probably wrap it up pretty soon, but it's appalling. And again, I always go back to people who have any sort of privilege who are doing nothing. I don't get it. Do you not give a shit about the people who come next? I don't know. I mean, people always are saying, most criticism that I get is, oh, I hate all white people, which is kind of ridiculous. But also, I just feel guilty. I do not feel guilty. You are misinterpreting my emotions. I'm pissed. This is
Lily
not.
Rowe, yes, I see and hear you. I read that book too. Everything he touches dies. I paraphrase it. I say, everything Trump touches, same result.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm not. This is not guilt. I'm just beside myself that we would allow somebody into our White House in this day and age that vowed and promised to take away the civil and human rights of our fellow humans. And we let him in, and he's done everything, or at least tried to, that he promised. He has promised it, he said it, and I believed him. And he's doing
Every single
There's not an area unscathed.
every single cabinet position that he has filled has been on a mission to do the opposite of what that cabinet post was designed to do.
And just like my rant, like I said, I hate to say it, collectively as a society, we're allowing it. Why do I say this? I'll use my disgusting example again. If he were murdering little babies on TV, we'd stop him. Or would we? Because you see, he's not doing anything that's quite bad enough for us to all really care. Yeah, we'll go to a rally. Sure. We'll go to, we'll write a post on Facebook. It's not enough. This man needs to be out. Education needs to take place. The system needs to be dismantled. Our founding fathers did a couple really cool things. Did a couple really bad things too. Really bad. But one cool thing, the Constitution is flexible. It can be amended and changed to respond to what the people want, but not if the people have crap, sick, inhumane values and allow capitalism to go unchecked on steroids. I think it could be the end of our democratic republic. I'm telling you, this is not good.
He's done everything he can to try and destroy it. Let's see, Anastasia, I see you, I hear you. It's not nice to fool Mother Nature. How's that?
Which one are you reading of Anastasia's?
She said, I watched a report that says because you want to save the earth, it emasculates men. They have framed it as being feminine. And my response to that is, it's not nice to fool Mother Nature.
And also, men breathe too and drink water. So yeah, that's like, it's the whole thing. We're being played the fools, and a lot of us are right there in supporting. Derek, his mission is to undo whatever Obama did, and his personal vendetta against him because he's jealous as hell. And since Obama roasted him at he's so jealous. He's like, I'm sorry, I hate to repeat myself. He's some severe psychological issues.
And unfortunately, that incited and infused him with a passion to accomplish the goal to get to the office that he now has. But it also put other people in a point of complacency where they assumed that he was so outrageous, so unqualified, ridiculously over the top, racist, misogynist, xenophobic, criminal-minded, in bed with the Russian oligarchs. Now we learn that he's in bed with the Saudi Arabian prince, with the Brazilian oligarchs that he's fed the recovery money from the stupid tariffs that were supposed to be in order to build up the family-owned farms. He has funneled that money into the Brazilian oligarch criminals that he owed some kind of backdoor favor to. That we don't even know the rest of that story. And now also because of his enamored lust for money and power in sustaining his Trump Towers in Istanbul, Turkey, he made a knee-jerk, middle-of-the-night deal with the president of Turkey to pull the troops out to stab in the back our allies and the Kurds in the Syrian border that are giving up the center of gravity that's important to them, which is the key strategic geographic positioning of those people, as well as the well-being and care of those people. Not only that, that part of that mission was to keep these huge numbers of ISIS soldiers that had been captured and were now being controlled in a contained area, will now be dispersed to the far winds to cause more mayhem. You see that mayhem commercial for, what is it, State Farm or whatever? Look out for mayhem, because well, guess what? This imbecile just unleashed a whole bunch of mayhem because there's nobody guarding those prisons right now. And just like when you saw in Pirates of the Caribbean, when the pirate ships were firing the cannons on the prison and it broke up the prison and Jack Sparrow was able to escape. Well, guess what? All these ISIS fighters from all of the Turkish military bombings
are going to destroy a lot of the buildings. A lot of these folks are going to escape and spread to the far
Well,
winds.
Trump's not sophisticated enough to.
No, he's not. He
just
does.
not.
He has zero consciousness with regard to the secondary reactions, the unintended consequences of
Right.
his knee-jerk reactions
Right.
to accomplish his own personal agenda. Never the agenda of what's good and righteous and right for the American people, but the agenda of what's in it for DJT.
Yeah. Good points. Good
Period.
points. Really good points. Oh my goodness. It has been so nice having you here. I wish we could go
Thank
on
you.
and on. You are
Thank you for having me. I
It was
appreciate,
a rough start.
appreciate the opportunity
Not 'cause of
to make some kind of a small contribution here.
You are amazing. You will definitely have to come back on again. You've shed so much light on so many topics. When I got a hold of you the other day, or a couple weeks back, I'm like, we need you. You were absolutely, and it's wonderful. I love having people on who are knowledgeable and amazing. And I'm sorry we didn't get to everybody's comments, but I'm going to look over everything. You're a wonderful guest host, and I wanted to encourage everyone thoroughly. Go to his webpage. Go to his. He really knows. I told you he's 90, and doesn't he look good? He looks really good. So I mean, he kind of sells himself there. He is an expert in so many things, and health and wellness is huge. And please check out his stuff. I will have it in the description right under this video on YouTube. And
CreativeCrumlinAssociates.com.
say it one more time. I didn't quite catch that.
CreativeCrumlinAssociates.com.
And that is, thank you, how you can be reached. And please do not forget, if you are new to this station, this channel, please subscribe and ring the bell. I have a ton of videos coming out and a ton of cool things planned. And my biggest thing is to include viewers in the videos and your voice. So, I have those panels that I'm still doing. I'm just getting logistics, all straightened out. We will be having them, and I would love anybody who wants to be involved to talk about it. I'm going to get Don to do a couple of them. I'm sure he will be amazing.
Absolutely.
And they are going
whatever I can do to make a contribution, you got it.
You are so well educated, and they are going to be one topic, 2 or 3 people. I will be stepping back and just listening and watching, and it'll be a discussion about very specific things. And of course, the panelists will know ahead of time so they can figure out what they want to do. So I can't thank you all enough. And please, if you know somebody who needs to be educated about, my YouTube channel is for white folks. I don't educate non-white folks. That's not my place. I don't know more than the people living it every single day in America. So my goal is to educate, to support equity for everybody. So thank you so much for watching. Do you have anything else to say, Don, or are we going to say good night?
Lily Rowe asks, thank you for visiting. Please tell us your name again. I missed the first part of the show. My name is Don Crumlin. My website is Creative Crumlin Associates. Please visit. Please invite your friends and family to visit. There's a wealth of information there, as well as contact information, how to get a hold of me, ask me questions, whatever. There's a bio of me as well. If you go to, if you're on a PC or a laptop, it's one of the menu items across the top. It says About Us. Well, it's my website, so it's about me. You'll see a very extensive bio about my background and the things that I've done and accomplished and so forth, and some of my experiences. So that I didn't just fall off a turnip truck yesterday. And it's also, if you're on your smartphone, you go in the upper right and there are 3 dashes, and you click on that, and it in the drop-down menu comes down, and you can see the About Us section. You go to that, and it has a bunch more information. But there's many links and videos, some of which that I have done personally, that are on the site that explain what I'm doing, what I'm all about, and why it's my passion to help people with their health and wellness. It's something that isn't given a lot of attention in today's fast-paced world where people eat too much fast food, junk food, etc., because everybody's in a hungry. Well, there's a way to eat healthy while still being mobile, agile, fast, and getting things done. And if you contact me on that site, I will do my best to help you be effective and efficient in all of those different ways.
And Don,
So,
can you write down your website right into the? Do you have your page up or not really? Do you have
no,
your,
but for those that can read it,
yeah, oh, closer,
it's right
closer,
there.
closer.
Creative Crumlin Associates.
Why don't you spell that out for me? Yeah. Oh, there we go. Creative.
CreativeCrumlinAssociates.com.
Ah, get it right. Did I get it right on there? I think. Oh, you don't have your page up. Okay, because it'll definitely be at the bottom of the description in the video. So, and I will close by saying, if you believe like I do that it's way past time for white America to learn our real racial history and support real equity for everybody, please tell people about my YouTube channel. Watch the videos. I have videos for beginners and they're very sweet and nice. I have lunatic rants for people who like lunatic rants. I have very educational and proper, more teacher me. I have something for everybody. Not everybody for, not everything for everybody, but anyway. So please check out my YouTube channel. I have over 200 videos, and they're all from the heart because I really care about my fellow humans. And you guys, we got to do better than this. Okay, so thank you for being here, and thank you everybody for viewing. Don't be a stranger. If you want to get a hold of Don and you're not sure how, I know him. Get a hold of me, and I will get you to him. Okay.
There you go.
So,
that's a good
how's
way
that?
to do it.
Yeah, great to me. And if you have anything to tell me, I love PMs. The only thing is, sometimes I'm kind of slow getting back to people because I get too many and I'm all over the place. But I will get back to you, and don't feel bad about bombarding me. If you need me, I'll notice. So thank you so much. And oh, Ronald, thank you so much. And Bakari, I'm so happy you are here. And Anastasia, you were amazing. And everybody, Lily, I can't name everybody, Nails and Glitter, but I'll try. Good night, and hang in there.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
We got
Thanks,
this.
everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much for everything. You're wonderful. And I will
Likewise.
right
Same
back
back
to you.
at you.
You did really great. Did I end it? Did I? Oh my God. Thank you so much for that. I thought you were fan-freaking-tastic. That was really cool. You got everybody all crazy and wanting to write comments, and yay, you did really great. Thank you. And I will make sure that people who need to go to you get to you. I just hope people, we'll get a lot of people in reruns. But anyway, you did really well. Thank you for that. Oh. Hello. Hello.
Hey.
Thank you so much. You did great.